All right. One, two, one, two, three. One, two, three. Give me just a moment, everyone. Getting everything situated away here and doing the social media thing. Going over to. Got a retweet from Twitter. How has everyone been doing this week? I was supposed to go and see Candyman at some point, but that did not end up happening. It's very upsetting. But I did end up watching The Empty Man, which should be dropping tomorrow, I hope. The review should be dropping tomorrow for that. All right. Okay. All right. If you are in the chat, hello very much. Feel free to join in. It's been a bit of a weird week for news. So to start out, before everyone is coming in, early word is that Spencer, the movie with Kristen Stewart, wherever she is playing Princess Diana, is pretty good. Early word is that is a pretty good movie. Dune, there is word that the early screenings, that is also good, but at the same time, a lot of people are saying that it feels very incomplete. That's what the reviews are saying right now. It also says that it's a great sci-fi movie for adults. Again, this is the consensus out of I forget what festival is going on right now. It says it looks good, but feels somewhat incomplete. And Villeneuve says that he wants to finish. At the same time, he says that Dune is going to be another book that he wants to adapt if everything goes well with Warner Brothers. Okay, so let's talk. The title of today's weekly movie update is that Hollywood is more than happy to die of COVID, which it very much is. Look, Hollywood right now is in very either deep denial or some type of delusion, and we get more and more stories every single week that always point to this, always point to talking about problems going on with multiple sides of either the business, creativity, or viewership. And if there's an obvious problem, they will always explain it away. We're talking about either reporters or stars, directors, producers, people who very conveniently happen to live in, the nice parts of the industry. They will normally give it's been an annoying thing for like the last 6 years. They give very annoying excuses that don't change anything. Like we'll get into it. Okay. So overall, here's what the title means. Hollywood is happy to die of COVID. Hollywood has been embarrassed for the last few years. For example, right now, and by right now, I mean a trend that started about, what? When was the first Avengers movie? Like maybe 2 movies before the Avengers movie. And again, I'm fine with Marvel movies. I enjoy them. That's not the point. Comic book movies pay the bills in Hollywood. For the last over a decade, that has been the stuff that pays the bills. Nothing is going to happen unless you have got a Marvel movie, a DC movie, a comic book intellectual property that you have got in the works. Otherwise, you are irrelevant in that business and in that town because that is what people are watching. That's embarrassing because for a long time, Hollywood was kind of the place. It was the place in the world that movies would be made. Original movies, original stories would be made for movies, and they would be recognized as being incredible throughout the entire world. Now we've got, comic book movies, and comic book movies are not bad, but there is a level of embarrassment that is pretty much the only thing that they are able to do that brings in, that can keep the lights on. Another one is that the actual living legends that we still have right now in the industry, the ones that kind of symbolize artistic integrity, are leaving for streaming services. So you've got people like Scorsese, who's about to make his second movie with a second streaming service. You've got the Coen brothers, who I know made Buster Scruggs for Netflix, and I think Joel Coen is making Macbeth for Apple TV. Apple TV is doing really well right now. Fincher has been vocal about how pissed he is about working in the studio system and signed a multi-film deal with Netflix, which, based on the relationship that they've had, is just going to continue. Also, hello to Hobbit. How's it going? Good to see you. And Netflix says that it is the CEO of Netflix says that it is his mission to seduce Nolan into making at least the next 2 movies with the company, saying that the checkbook is basically wide open for him. And if you look at what Netflix makes in 1 month, that is easy to do. It's easy to pay with one Nolan movie in half of a week with what Netflix makes. And and that means that they lose him at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has had him for almost his entire career. He has been writing them. He's been writing them original content that grosses over $1 billion, almost over $1 billion every single time. And then you look at something like the Oscars, okay, moving away from the actual content of what's going on. You've got something like the Oscars, and the Oscars are a symbol of the filmmaker's relationship with the audience. That's what it's always been. You always have millions of people, okay, upwards of 30 million people for over 40 years watching the Oscars consistently. And that's really important. Okay, look, you might not like the Oscars, but you have to recognize that the reason that's there is to bring together the people that make the movies and the people that watch the movies. And together they celebrate movies. It is not there to decide what is the best picture. And nobody since 2014, no one's been watching. And watch the Moonlight review on my channel to see that. And now the problem that we're seeing is that movie theaters are dead. Nobody is going to see any movies. I live in New York City. I have been in 3 AMCs since I moved here 2 months ago that look like they are haunted. Okay. And no, it's not just for the reason of why you think. Okay, look, movies they just don't carry the influence that they did a few years ago. And look, that is what it is. That's perfectly fine. Whatever. It was going to happen at some point because, of course, it has to, because everything evolves. And that's just, hey, it is what it is. Things change and move on. But every article from every reporter and every interview from every celebrity always says the exact same thing, that everything negative that we are seeing right now, everything that you could possibly say, and they have articles addressing every single thing, is attributed to COVID. And look, COVID with theater deaths, I understand you are able to say that there is something that could be going on with that because that is a very new thing. But even when talking about movie theaters, even whenever talking about all of these date releases, you have to acknowledge that it is not just COVID. But here's the thing. If anyone in Hollywood, if any reporter, if any celebrity ever acknowledged that it was anything other than that, then that would mean that they would actually have to change. And God forbid. And so, yeah, I'm going to say Hollywood, if it's going to die, it is more than happy to die from COVID. Way better than admitting the fact that you work in the entertainment industry and the thing that you want to do least than anything else is entertain the people that actually pay for the stuff that you're supposed to be making. So, yeah, and this week we've got this first story was I was in LA for a few months at the beginning of this year, and the people over there are so, not everyone, but the vibe in general is just so pretentious. It's such a bubble that you're unable to talk about anything unless you talk like everyone. And okay, so the first story is the Hollywood director says that they won't work with Netflix because their movies look fake. Okay, so this is Patty Jenkins, director of Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 2. And look, she says, I don't hear about them. I don't read about them, but they look fake, and it's hard to market a movie with a limited run. Look, every Friday morning, I go on a YouTube show. It's a sports YouTube show, but I kind of end off like the last segment on Friday, coming on to kind of give like a little recap of either a movie news, stuff coming out of Hollywood, independent stuff, or I do something that's personal, like not personal, but a movie that I watched over the week that's coming out on 5 Minute Critic. And last time that I was on there, the social media person, I forget what exactly I was talking about. It involves streaming services, and they retweeted kind of like an encapsulation of what each guest said. And they put that for mine, they recapped what I said as Nathan predicts that streaming services are the future. And I thought, okay, all right. I mean, that's that's pretty obvious. Like, I mean, if you're going to have me on as an expert and then you say that, I'm there to say that streaming services are the future, that's my, I have a brother who's under the age of 13. He could say that. Everyone knows that. But this is Patty Jenkins. She is working with Warner Brothers, and she is saying that she will not be working with Netflix because their movies look fake and because their business model doesn't work. Like, what is going on there? Okay, look. Netflix is on its way to having its own theaters. Netflix is also on its way to making sure that anything that they want to put out that has any level of reputation is going to be seen by everybody in the entire world. I don't mean to dwell on this one. The thing that came to mind when I saw the article was that from the woman who directed Wonder Woman 84, that had all of those scenes wherever Kristen Wiig turned into a cheetah woman. And look up a picture of what she looked like as the cheetah woman, saying that Netflix movies looked fake is a little bit funny. That's all I'm going to say. It's a little bit funny. Okay. First big story. We've got more movie delays, and this is all going to play into the exact same thing. So Venom and Jackass 4 already moved. Okay. That I'm not in, but like, okay. Venom, I'll be excited for. Jackass 4, I can take it or leave it. But Top Gun Maverick now has been moved from November of this year to May of 2022. And that has also made Mission Impossible 7 move to November of 2022 as well. So we've got two Tom Cruise movies, two massive movies, that are now delayed months beyond months. And right now, if you want to know the next step of what we're actually looking at whenever we're talking about what's going to happen with theaters now, the big news is, are we going to keep pushing movies back? Or is this going to keep happening? Are movies just going to be pushed back now? This week, which is the Marvel movie that came out today. And from what people are saying, industry insiders at Disney are reporting that they're waiting to see what they're going to do with their next movie, Eternals, which is supposed to come out in a few weeks, based on how Shang-Chi does. And look, it's true. Marvel defines the financials. So if people aren't going to go and watch that, if a massive crowd isn't going to go and watch that, then a massive crowd is not going to go and watch anything. At least if you're in charge of releasing these movies, that's kind of the most logical thing that you can think. So Disney is reportedly waiting on seeing how this weekend is going to go to decide what they're going to do with the next movie, The Eternals. And based on whatever happens, they are probably going to do a hybrid release, which they're not doing with Shang-Chi. And then, look, the thing is, if this weekend does not go really well with Shang-Chi, then you can expect that James Bond is going to move again. You can expect that Dune is more than likely going to move again. And the question that I have for all of this, and if you're watching this, like, please do honestly ask yourself this question, because online, it's very strange the way that people kind of like just accept that there's like one headline and then that's the way that the world works. So, bleh. But why do people not want to go back to the movies? What is going on with that? Like, I think that it's a very serious question. Read any article that talks about it, and it's the Delta variant. It is the Delta variant that is making people not want to go to the theaters. And I think first of all, I think there are multiple reasons that no one wants to go back to the theater right now. At least a crowd doesn't want to go back to the theater right now. And I think that if you want to say that Delta is a reason, then it has to be one of your many reasons that people don't want to go back. But if you're going to say that's the only reason, that is a cop-out. I do not believe that. I don't believe that you believe that, because, well, okay, look, I live in New York City, okay? Pretty much each weekend, at some point, I'm going to go to a bar. Once every other weekend, I'm going to be in a nightclub. And those places are packed, okay? Those places are packed. And they are packed with the type of people that, yeah, no, I remember. Hey, people that were like my age, people that were 3, 4, 5 years older than me, you guys were all going to the movies, weren't you? Like, that wasn't like a weird thing back like 3 years ago, how nobody that would be in a nightclub today wasn't going to the movie theater. Like, look, I do get it. I do get it. Because when you're in a nightclub and they've got the music and it's like I get it. And then you've got like another person right here. You've got another person right there. And then you're both like there, or not face to face, because that'd be transmission. Like if you're going like, and again, not face to face, but at that point you don't see each other. So like there's not, but then if you turn this way and maybe there is someone next to you, you just get away from them. And then you don't have to worry about the Delta variant that way. Like you can pack in tight like sardines for, I would say, 70 minutes, dance, sweat, drink, and you're probably going to be okay. But yeah, whenever it comes to the movies, it makes total sense that whenever I go and see a huge new release, like you go to see Suicide Squad like the second week that it's out, and on a weekend nobody's there. It makes total sense. It actually made total sense whenever I went to Film Forum, which, if you don't know, Film Forum is the spot where you go if you're the nerd that wants to watch the art house movies or just the old French movies, the old Ukrainian movies, the old movies that people made in Russia back in the Soviet thingy. And yeah, no, you go because you want to watch old stuff. And a lot of times you go and you see old people. So I was there a month and a half ago. We didn't even have the vaccine passport yet. And I walked in there I was one of the only people masked as I entered the room, then seeing that I was also one of the only people that didn't have white hair in the room. And so we're all just there, packed in, watching a really old movie. And again, this is a theater where, I mean, it's just old movies. And yeah, no, it is the majority also old people. So look, it's not. I don't believe that it's Delta. I don't think that Delta is the reason that people aren't going back. People aren't going back because people that run the studios have not given people a reason to go back. You damn cowards. Like, geez. Like, for Christ's sake, like, look, it's the entertainment industry. Your job is to entertain and entice people. Okay, look, the only way that anyone is going to go back in a sizable crowd to the movie theaters is if you actually give them a reason to respect your movies. Okay, why do people go to the theaters? Why do you think people want to go to the theaters? What? Because they can't sit close to their TV whenever you when you give the movie on HBO Max, they can't just sit at home and watch that. They would go to the theater because, oh, it's just so much bigger, it's so much more grand. Like, do you not think that it has to do with the prestige of the thing? Like, you have to actually build a level of FOMO. People need FOMO. Look, if you have not met another human being in a while, I get it. But look, a very favorite thing that most humans have is that they love whenever other people miss out on things. That is like the favorite thing that people do. Okay. So if you are going to continue the model of, look, I'm either not going to release my movie, or I'm just going to put it on TV the exact same time that it's going to be in theaters. Has it been 19 months now since the initial lockdown? I think it is. I think it probably has been. And look, people just they're out of the habit. People are out of the habit of going to the theater. I think people have more than likely done a great job of facing the adversity that's happened in the last year. And honestly, I don't care what people's thought is in regards to what they choose to do right now. But in general, people that are here have made it, and they have made their way through it. I think there needs to be I think that we just need to acknowledge the fact that we have had to find other ways of occupying our time. And it's very possible that we have found a lot more fulfilling ways of occupying our time. And if you want people to go back to the theater, you have to give them a reason to go back to the theater. There's a weird idea in entertainment right now that for some reason the industry is owed that people come back. If people aren't coming back, then it must just still be because of the pandemic. Sure, they're filling crowds doing other things that they want to do, but for some reason, spitting on other people in a packed nightclub in one of the most packed cities in the world is something that's still an allure. But being one of 20 just isn't quite the thing people want to do whenever it's like the release of one of the biggest movies of the month. And it's a total denial of what's actually going on. And like, the more that you keep doing that, how are people going to be surprised that you're going to be irrelevant, even more irrelevant in the near future? Like, okay, what was the next point? I'm sorry. It's the prestige of the thing. And yeah, the Bond producers even say that they're going to be moving Bond if things do not do well. The two producers that actually did that said they're not going to do simultaneous streaming because they actually want to have a level of prestige. And their movies have a level of respect for their movies that they deserve to be on a big screen. And I think that is the type of attitude people need to have. But some of these studios need to take the risk of actually putting this stuff out, because there is nobody in the world right now lining up for your theater. Nobody is waiting for it. People would rather find something great on TV at home or they would rather read a book, go out and have a nice time with friends, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. Who cares? Look, and most reports say that the only reason that people are doing this is because of the money. And look, everything has something to do with money in one way or another. That's a cheapskate excuse as well. But look, the big screen is about prestige, and that's how you're going to get people back. And if we could have a conversation about these types of things, if people that talk about these types of things could have a conversation like there's more going on than just COVID, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Okay, then next, the Oscars. The Oscars announced this is the thing that really pissed me off. A few minutes before organizing today's stream, the Oscars said that they are going to be implementing changes in attempts to increase ratings. Okay, now look, I did a review of Moonlight that kind of went through why the Oscars have turned to total crap and how that's resulted in people not giving a shit about what happens at the Oscars anymore. So look, the argument of that, and then I'll go into what they say and how it's still a descent into bullshit. So the Oscars are a celebration of movies. That is what the Oscars are. That is the best, and that's the best way to think about the Oscars. Look, the Best Picture award is the most important award. That is the one that symbolizes the ideal of what a movie should be. And what does that mean? Like, what does the picture actually mean? There's no way that you're actually finding what the best movie of the year is. That's impossible. That goes against the entire idea of what a movie or what a story is. So for the last 8 years, awarding Best Pictures to things that nobody has seen is a spit in the eye to the audience. It is. You have to acknowledge that that is, and that is why you cannot be surprised that people are leaving. Look, the closest definition that you can get to what a Best Picture is the difference between what is your favorite movie and what is the best movie, okay? And I get it. Everyone's got their own interpretation, but I really think the closest you can get to the way that a large group of people think about the Oscars is that your favorite movie is the film that you individually have the strongest connection with, okay? The best movie is the film that has the strongest emotional connection with the largest possible audience. And look, if you disagree, just try just listening to the word of mouth of people around you and stop thinking that your opinion is just the thing that we all get up in the morning for. And look, I will say in some ways I've seen like people do that all over the place, but it's nowhere worse than LA. Anyone that doesn't live in that city is spoken of with such disdain that is like very inhuman. It sounds that way, at least. It's very strange. And it's just such a bubble. And that's where the voters are. Like that is where the people that decide what Best Picture are. And I get people feeling like the Oscars don't matter that much. But if you do like movies and you like the way that things have gone in the past, then it is seeing something go away and lose value. And that is unfortunate. And it's doing it without any level of integrity. So, hey, if you want to do that, fine. I'll just talk about it. But just stop the excuses of why people don't want to watch. Like, just be honest and fix it. Or, I mean, just die. Like, the host... Really? How many articles are we going to have to see saying that the reason that no one wants to watch the Oscars is the host? Okay? The music, live TV. If you really think that the fact that it's on live TV is the reason that nobody's watching, then stream it. Disney, you own the freaking thing. If you can make it so that Quentin Tarantino can't get the premiere of his movie because you want the theater, then can you at least call ABC and tell them that you want to stream it on Disney Plus or you want to do it somewhere else? I mean, come on. It's the excuses. The excuses are just very clear that they're dishonest and that they're pointing at the fact that they don't know what's happening and they don't know how to change it, and that it's kind of on its own roller coaster of self-destruction right now. I even saw like there's a pretty well subscribed to Oscar YouTube show. And I was watching kind of last week their discussion about what's going on with the Oscars and why no one's watching. And their conclusion was that large audiences just love popcorn movies so much that when they see that there's a serious movie that's getting attention, they have no idea how to connect with it and they will just ignore it, that is just such a popular opinion, and it's so pernicious and cynical. And hearing that from entertainers talking about their audience is just... not going to be sad whenever it's just not the way things go anymore. So what are the Oscars changing? What did the article say that the Oscars have decided to change? So what they said. The 93rd Academy Awards ceremony itself was greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. This is a very common phrase that people use whenever something doesn't go well in Hollywood. Also recognize that whenever they say this, there is never any evidence for it. It is just kind of a sentence that exists. Next, it relocated to Union Station from the Dolby Theater, which, of course, as you know, everyone is dying to hear Frances McDormand howl and then also see the room that it's happening in. Like, God forbid that it happen in anywhere but the Dolby Theater. But the one in which the order in which the awards were presented was also unexpectedly shuffled around, as Best Actor was the final award instead of Best Picture. This one is a little bit funny. I think this one actually points to the level of denial that people that talk about this stuff in Hollywood are actually in. If you're talking about how there's a great decrease in viewership, and a reason that you use is the thing that happened at the very end of the show is a reason that people didn't watch. I mean, how in the world is it that anybody that didn't watch the show was upset about what happened at the ending of the show when it was happening live? I mean, the fact that the ending of last year's Oscars were so terrible does not say anything about why the numbers were bad, because everyone that saw it counted as someone that was a viewer. All that you did with that was piss off every single viewer that you did have, and you didn't have that many. So if you want to actually know how much you piss people off, watch what happens at the next Oscars, and people are not really going to pay that much attention to it. What else? Okay. Additional changes will be made in this. Okay. At least they addressed. I'm not saying that I am touching on the exact and only thing that's wrong with the Oscars, but they say that additional changes will be made in an attempt to make the Oscars more of a celebration of film and less about specific films competing against each other for awards. That last part doesn't really make any sense. The only thing that really matters is actually making it so that it is a celebration of film, because that is why people used to watch. But okay, if we want to actually talk about the only substantial change that was made, they said they made changes. Here is the one change that they announced that's going to be happening that we can expect for this next year's Oscars. The short film awards will be announced during the break. That's it. That's going to be the first step to getting over 30 million people back to the Oscars. And I'm sure that your announcement is heard loud and clear enough for everyone to return next year. It's just, and then one of the people involved in the Oscars says that it's the increasingly niche tastes of the Academy members that is the reason that people haven't seen the films of the awards, which is just speaking to the fact that Academy members have specific tastes. I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all. If you watch the movies that are actually now being awarded more and more, they're very surface. They're very surface. They lack so much subtlety. The amount, like at a level that if people's job is to work in the film industry, like a wholly artistic, makes absolutely no sense that they would be nominating stuff. But also know that also just misses the total point of what the Oscars are about. It's not about a small group of people deciding what is the best movie, because nobody can actually decide what the best movie is if that's what you're saying it is about. And there was a poll that the article actually cites. It says, in a recent report from Variety, none of the Academy Award nominees for Best Picture in this last year were seen by above 50% of the audience. And this was taken from a survey of over 1,500 people that classified themselves as regular moviegoers. Okay, they said Judas and the Black Messiah was the title most seen at 46%. The next, actually, it was close to a tie. The second and third titles were The Trial of the Chicago 7 and Nomadland, with percentages of 39 and 35%. Again, go look at the review that I did of Moonlight. I put up statistics about what's going on with this type of thing. And if you look back in the past few years, the most important award is the Best Picture award. If you are not going to give it to movies that people are watching, then what that says to people watching is, oh, okay, well, it happens 1 year. Okay. It happens 2 years. It's a little bit weird. It happens 3 years. It's kind of like, okay, they're doing their own thing now, and that's not for us. And that's just how it's changing, and people get it. And they're leaving. And the last thing that they say is just the most freaking cynical thing. It says, whether or not the public should branch out or the Academy should adapt to suit their tastes will be part of the ongoing debate. And yeah, you know what? It will be part of the ongoing debate. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because the people that make up the Academy body and the people that make these movies are doing it to be entertainers, and you are entertaining people that are actually out in the public. So if you're talking about an award show where the public is voting in the only way that they can, which is to shut you up and turn you off and not listen to you, that is them casting their vote or their opinion in the debate, and they're gone. They're not coming back. So what we are having here, if you want to ask the question that way, really, and what you're asking is, for the few people that do watch the Oscars, should we be okay with the fact that it's just us now enjoying the little club that we have? Or do we actually need to change something in order to bring people back? If you're an entertainer, I mean, maybe try and entertain them a little bit. But look, what do you think is actually going to kill the Oscars first? Would it be 5 years of under 10 million viewers? Or would it be giving the Oscar to something that movies saw, like maybe Black Panther, Arrival, or Joker? Like, it's just like, at the end of the night, everyone's just like, well, who saw that? Like, does it even matter? And yeah, they're not gonna change anything. And I don't think, I feel like there's a level of arrogance coming out of there that says they're not gonna change anything. And there are a few comments. Okay, so what's going on? The Hobbit, if a French Dispatch gets delayed, I will boycott movies forever. What's your favorite Wes Anderson movie? I'm also very excited for the French Dispatch. And what? I don't want to go to the theater because of rats, expensive food, dull light bulbs, people on the phone, and people acting rude. The AMCs that I've been to do feel a little dingy around here. Also saying I don't want to go to the theater because the movies got subversive messages, pander to global community, and bad story plots. There is not a lot going on in a lot of the movies that's coming out right now. I don't want to go to the theater. Too many damn commercials. My Regal is 30 minutes before the movie starts. Jeez, too many reboots and prequels, and the price of the tickets is too damn high. I would cancel the Oscars and post the results online to fight against climate change. My favorite scene is Glenn Close twerking during the 93rd Oscars. That was fun. Daniel, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. The Hobbit, to fix the Oscars, I would make sure the Academy members actually watch the movies. And then Fantastic Mr. Fox. Nice. Do I have? I love Fantastic Mr. Fox. That was a lot better than Isle of Dogs. And what do I have a favorite Wes Anderson movie? It used to be Life Aquatic, but then it's not Life Aquatic. Probably the Royal Tenenbaums. That was the one that I saw first, and I think it just kind of stuck with me the most. Oh, Daniel, if you are still watching, the graphics and the music. Well, I guess the music would be the music producer, but the graphics that you have on Off the Bench, those opening graphics are really cool. I've been meaning to ask where you got those. So if you're still watching, I'm very, very interested in where you got those. Okay, let's just talk about some movies that are going on. Rushmore is a good honorable mention. Very good. Annette. This was a movie that was playing at Cannes, and it made me think of a question that I actually hadn't really thought about before. Whenever Ida came through, my girlfriend and I were watching this just whenever the storm was raging outside, and we stopped it about 24 minutes in. We both wanted to see it. I love Leos Carax. The trailer looked interesting. You've got Adam Driver, Marion Cotillard, the guy from The Big Bang Theory, and it looked interesting. It looked very, very interesting. But we stopped 24 minutes in, and I felt so bad. I was the one that called it. I was like, we just can't. And I think it was, I used to love movies like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I haven't just watched an art house movie, although it felt, at least the beginning felt very on the nose. That song where they're going like, we love each other so much. That was just the worst. So we stopped it. I'll go back to it. I think I just was not in the mood for that. Honestly, I wanted to watch like a heist thriller, and then we saw that and went for it. It was not good. But okay, you're saying that the ending was good. I need to go back and finish it. In the moment, I just could not do it. I could not do it anymore. Oh wait, Daniel, you made the music playlist as well? That is pretty cool. It definitely looks I love the 80s thing. I love it. Feels like what is that? Tron. Feels like Tron. And okay, then lastly, the movie that I am working on the review for right now, filmed it this morning. We'll be editing it probably later tomorrow. The Empty Man, which, if anyone is watching this, The Empty Man is a horror movie that was filmed in 2017 before the merger with 20th Century Fox and Disney. And Disney had no idea what to do with it. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Very ambitious for a horror movie. Did not give a lot of answers as to what was going on. Totally shelved it, trimmed it down to 90 minutes. That tested even worse than the 2 hours and 20 minutes version. So they decided we're just going to put it out. And they put it out in 2020, October of 2020. I mean, back whenever no one knew what was going on, but no one had time and no one was going to the theater. Back whenever Tenet was kind of the big problem. So they put it out in the theater. No one watched it. I think it was 3 weeks The Empty Man was in theaters. And then it just went on to streaming, Amazon Prime. Almost no one saw it. Made almost absolutely no money. The weird thing about it is that it is very good. If you like horror movies, if you like movies that you know are going to be filled with several moments where it's calm, and then one thing happens, and then you're just like, nope, nope, no, 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 and it's just silence. It's just like it's playing with absolute silence, but at the same time, the story, it's not like The Conjuring or one of the Annabelle movies where you just have jump scares or scary moments and then there's no story. The story doesn't really do anything for you. The problem with The Empty Man is that the story lags near the end. But also, honestly, I don't really care. It's a very little scene movie. You should check it out. It's on HBO Max. It is called The Empty Man, and I think this would be one of the few times that I would say, if you like horror movies, I would say you have a responsibility to watch this one, only because the director did an incredible job. It is his first movie. It was unfairly messed up because it was thrown into this merger. No one had any idea what to do with it, so they just threw it right in the dirt. And that is a shame. But the only way that this director is not going to get reputation, and the only way we're going to see anything else from him, is if you watch it and just boost the streaming numbers so that the algorithm sends it out to everyone out there. So please do that. It's a good movie, especially if you love horror. Okay, let's see. Last comment. The Hobbit, I saw The Night House 2020 starring Rebecca Hall. Imagine Manchester by the Sea with horror intensity. Oh, that sounds really good. Oh my God. Manchester by the Sea is almost, it's got horror in it. Whenever he's walking back to the house, that is just, if it's working with that level of where you're kind of the cause of your own trauma, your own stupidity or your own carelessness is the cause of your own trauma. If that type of thing is going on, Manchester by the Sea is really good. That's a good recommendation for The Night House. Okay. I will watch that. I will absolutely watch that. This week, maybe late this week, maybe early next week, the Empty Man trailer review will come out. And then after that will be the American Psycho. I've been lacking on reviews because I was going to do American Psycho, but whoa, I forgot how much. Like, I started diving into American Psycho, and that is just a chasm of what in the world is going on, and it's great. It is so good. But it's been fun to go through. The Empty Man was also fun to go through. Hollywood is dying. Maybe it's hyperbole, but hey, if we are lucky, maybe it is not. So please be sure to follow on all social media. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. And thank you very much for watching. You've been watching 5 Minute Critic. Subscribe for future updates on reviews and movie news.